going, everybody? It's Mike from PC Classic Cars, back with another test drive video. This morning we are in a 1964 Chevrolet Nova with a non-original 350 and a 4-speed manual transmission. It is chilly here today, so we will let it warm up for a little bit before we kind of get on it at all. Alright, so again we have a 64 Nova. This Nova is optioned with a non-original 350. Motor runs really well. Has aftermarket aluminum heads on them, or excuse me, on it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find an embossing or a stamp on the head, so I don't know exactly which aluminum heads are on the car. But everything looks like a Pro Comp head just from everything that I can see. But again, I can't 100% verify. So 350 with aftermarket aluminum heads, also has an aluminum intake. Nice carburetor, runs really well. Not a crazy horsepower small block, but it definitely runs better than just your average run-of-the-mill 350. Backed by a Muncie 4-speed manual transmission, has a 10-bolt rear end. I will say the 10-bolt does have some gear in it. It's not a 70-mile-an-hour car, more of a 55, 60-mile-an-hour car. We're doing about 55, right under 60 right now, about 2,900 RPM. So you can do the math there, figure out where the gear ratio is. Somewhere in the low threes. I don't think it's into the fours, but it could be. But right there, it's about 62, 63, and we're doing right at 3,000 RPM. So it is still comfortable at 60, but you are turning some RPM, like I said. This one is optioned with aftermarket front suspension. It looks like it's a CPP kit. It's got tubular upper and lower control arms, so the front end feels great. It's a nice, tight driving car. The rear suspension looks like stock style equipment. Going down this road, it performs well again with that aftermarket suspension. It gives it a tighter road feel. Doesn't wander. It's a really good, tight driving car. On the interior, it has a really nice blue interior. The dash is all painted to match the outside of the car, top and bottom. The floor mats, the carpet, all that stuff looks like it's been replaced at some point. Same thing with the door cards and the seat covers. Originally, it was a fawn interior car. Now, obviously, it's blue and everything matches and it looks good. I will say the headliner is almost like a suede or a velour material. And it's got some discoloration spots up here in the top corners, also around the sides. But no major holes or really any issues, just a little bit of discoloration, but it is in good shape. The visors match the seat material. Seat foam feels good. Gauges are all a stock style gauge. It is optioned with a factory tag. It does have an aftermarket retro style stereo, which works. The doesn't work section, pretty much everything major works on the car. Your speedometer is off by about 5 miles an hour. That's a really simple fix. And then the other items that weren't working, I'll let this trash guy go here. The other items that weren't working was the horn doesn't do anything, and then your washer sprayer fluids don't spray any fluids. So minor little stuff. I didn't mention it before, but it does have disc brakes on the front. It is a manual disc brake, but the car stops well. It's not heavy at all, so not a difficult car to stop. And then it is manual steering, so again, if someone wanted to add power steering, you could, but not a hard car to drive with manual steering. These are pretty easy, pretty light cars, so same thing with the brakes. Even with manual steering, they're pretty easy cars to drive. Let this car go, and then we'll do a little bit more of an aggressive pull since it's warmed up now. Clutch feels good. It runs pretty good. It does have headers, dual exhaust. Mufflers are a little older on it. I would swap them out for a Flowmaster, just personal preference for sound. But that's to each their own. It sounds good going down the road. Just the mufflers have a couple tiny little pinholes in them. As far as the rest of the underneath goes, the floor pans have been replaced. Looks like an older job on the floor pans. The front and the rear have been sectioned in. but it looks like whoever did it knew what they were doing. It's the pans are put in there, it's seam sealed, it's undercoated uniform top to bottom, front to back. So everything on the bottom side looks good. The drop downs are nice. It does have welded subframe connectors. Just kind of goes along with the rest of the car. The aluminum headed motor, the 4-speed subframe connectors. Just a fun little hot rod to drive. Paint quality on the exterior was a color change. Originally it was a meadow green with that fawn interior. It's got this lighter color blue on it now. The paint is very slick. It shows well. All the flat surfaces are nice. It's a nice deep paint job. Some smaller touch-ups and some smaller imperfections. There's a little crack on the inside of the door jamb here where the quarter meets the rocker. There's like a little crack in the paint there. But minor stuff, just nitpicky things. Check out our additional infos tab. It's on our website underneath the photos. It'll also be linked in the videos down at the bottom. Make sure you click on that stuff to take a look at all of the extra photos of the flaws. It'll also have the doesn't work section in there that outlines what works and what doesn't work. Cosmetically, I would say the trim and the bumpers are probably original. The bumpers have some haziness to them. The trim has a few little dings. The Krager wheels are an older Krager wheel, and they do have some surface rust on the wheels themselves. But the tires are nice. Again, just kind of nitpicky things on the cosmetics for a car that was probably put together, if I had to guess, back in the early 2000s cosmetically, because it's not a fresh car when it comes to the cosmetics, but it still is very, very presentable. No tire rubbing. Again, they're just little 14s. That CPP suspension is good quality stuff. I've had it on a lot of platforms across multiple different cars, front and rear suspension. The CPP is always good quality equipment. The road feel on this Nova feels good. It's tighter than what it would have been from the factory. It doesn't have any of that weird play like I talked about before. The rest of the suspension feels good. Nothing's squeaking. Nothing's making any weird sounds. Goes down this bumpy road really nice and straight. Steering feels good for being manual steering. If you've never driven a car with manual steering, once you get past about 5 miles an hour, and if you're just cruising straight like this, the steering performs like power steering. It's just when you're going less than 5 miles an hour, backing into a spot or cranking a turn from a dead stop, then you got to put a little arm in it. But this car doesn't weigh a lot, so it's not hard to steer at all. Glass appears to be mostly original glass. The side glass is in good shape, but does have some little streaks. The vent windows open and close like they should. The wind noise is to a minimum. Both front glasses roll up and down like they should. Same thing with the back glass, or the quarter glasses there. No issues with that. Windshield's got a decent little streak right there, right in front of the driver, but it's minimal. Nothing that's impeding your vision. Driving position is very comfortable. Try and move the seat back just a little bit. Let it do that before I started driving. You have plenty of room if you're a larger individual. I'm 6 foot tall, and I just moved the seat back, and I went too far because now I can't push the clutch all the way in. So I'll move forward a little bit. So if you are a bigger individual, there is plenty of room for you to drive this car. And clutch feels good with no issues. It engages where you want it to engage. On the interior, I forgot to mention, it's got like this stock style little 4-speed floor shifter, which looks really good. Then you have kick panel speakers for the aftermarket stereo. Then you do have some speakers in the back as well. So my overall feel, it's a fun little hot rod. It runs good. Nothing, again, crazy high performance, but these cars don't weigh a lot. Having an aluminum headed 350 with a 4-speed, it's a lot of fun to drive down the road. It's a good tight driving car with the suspension. Paint quality's nice, other than a few little touch-ups and little imperfections here and there. Interior's very nice. I love the buckets. Factory tack is cool. Non-AC car, but you could add it if you want to. Again, it's freezing cold outside right now, so you don't need it, but the heat does work. Just a fun, solid little early Nova. Fuel gauge looks to be working. Again, speedo works, but it's off a few miles an hour. The tach's working. Parking brake engages like it should. As always, I appreciate y'all stopping in to watch another one of my test drive videos. If there's ever anything else that y'all want to see, have comments, concerns, questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to get updates on all the new content we're putting out daily. Check us out at pcclassiccars.com, and we'll see y'all on the next test drive video. Thanks again for watching.